There comes a moment in every person's life when God whispers into the spirit, "This is your time, this is your season, this is your breakthrough." And while your circumstances may look tight, your resources may seem small, and your opportunities may appear limited, God is not restricted by what you see. He is ready to move according to what He has already declared over your life. You may feel like you're on the edge of something shifting, but can't quite explain it. That is because heaven has already started working behind the scenes. God is stirring things in places you cannot see. He is touching hearts, rearranging events, aligning people, and opening doors because He has decided it is time for your financial breakthrough. Your breakthrough does not start in your bank account. It starts in your mind and your spirit. Before God multiplies what you have, He first multiplies your belief. Before He shifts your financial life, He shifts your inner life. Because wealth in God's kingdom is not merely about money. It is about purpose, stewardship, and trusting Him as your source. When God gets ready to bless you financially, He will often bring you through a season that teaches you trust, a season of stretching, a season where you look at your need and look at what you have and say, "God, this does not match." And God replies, "Good, because I'm not blessing you according to what you have, I'm blessing you according to who I am." Every financial struggle you have faced, every worry that kept you awake at night, every bill that felt heavier than you could handle, none of it was wasted. God used those moments to break your reliance on the world system and strengthen your confidence in Him, because He cannot release a blessing into hands that are still clinging to fear. The enemy wants you to believe that lack is permanent, that your situation will never change. But God's word says, "I will supply all your needs," not some, all. Not occasionally, always. Not barely, abundantly. Some of you are about to walk into income you didn't earn, opportunities you didn't expect, and increase that doesn't make sense. Because when God decides to bless you, He does it in a way that reminds everyone that the glory belongs only to Him. God is raising people right now who will step into financial freedom. Not so they can brag, but so they can bless. Not so they can show off, but so they can show God's goodness. You are not breaking through for yourself. You are breaking through for your family, your children, and the generations after you. Your financial breakthrough is not coming. It has already begun. Right now, God is releasing ideas, strategies, connections, and supernatural favor into your life. You are moving from borrowing to building, from surviving to stewarding, from stressing to sowing, from lack to overflow. So lift your head, open your heart, strengthen your faith, and prepare your hands, because the God who owns all resources, all wealth, and all opportunities is about to visit your life with increase. This isn't just another moment. This is your season. This is your confirmation. This is your shift. God is saying to you now, receive your financial breakthrough. And when He says it, no force in hell can stop it.
When it comes to receiving a financial breakthrough, the first truth you must settle deep within your spirit is this: God is not limited by your circumstances, your background, or the numbers in your bank account. He is only limited by the space you give Him to move. Many people live as though financial lack is their destiny, as though they must accept the role of a struggler for the rest of their lives. But God never designed you to live under the weight of never-ending financial pressure. He created you to be a steward of abundance, to walk in provision, to operate in wisdom, and to experience His supernatural care in your finances. And before God brings breakthrough in your hands, He brings clarity and transformation in your heart. That is why the first step toward abundance is allowing God to shift the way you think, believe, and expect. So many believers cry out for financial breakthrough but remain trapped in a mindset of fear and scarcity. They ask God to provide, yet they secretly believe that provision is unlikely. They pray for open doors, yet they mentally prepare themselves for disappointment. This internal contradiction becomes a barrier that stops the flow of God's blessings. God does not respond to fear-rooted prayers. He responds to faith-rooted expectation. Your heart must be aligned with the truth of who God is, your provider, your sustainer, the one who multiplies what seems small and turns it into more than enough. Breakthrough begins when you stop looking at what you lack and start looking at the God who owns it all. There are people who live their entire lives repeating the same financial cycles because they have never surrendered their mindset to God. They think poverty is humility. They think struggle is spirituality. But God does not get glory from your unpaid bills, your sleepless nights, your anxiety over tomorrow. He gets glory when you trust Him enough to believe He can elevate you, expand you, and supply you in ways that show His power, not your effort. When you allow Him to change the way you think about money, generosity, work, discipline, and stewardship, He begins aligning opportunities, connections, ideas, and favor around you. Breakthrough is not an accident. It is the result of divine alignment, and alignment begins in your thoughts. You cannot receive what you are not prepared for. Imagine pouring water into a cracked jar. No matter how much water is poured in, it leaks out. That is how many treat their finances. They ask God to fill, but they have not allowed Him to repair what is broken within. God blesses those who are ready to handle the blessing. He increases what you are capable of managing. And sometimes the delay you feel is not a denial. It is God's protection. He will not give you what will destroy you, overwhelm you, or pull your heart away from Him. That is why He deals first with pride, impatience, wastefulness, fear, and wrong beliefs. He prepares you so that when He releases the breakthrough, you never lose it again. Financial breakthrough is not only about money, it is about becoming the kind of person who can walk in God's abundance without breaking under the weight of it. God blesses character before He blesses accounts. He expands wisdom before He expands income. He strengthens discipline before He increases resources. Many people want the blessing without the process, the reward without the preparation. But God loves you too much to give you something that would harm you. He shapes your inner life so you can sustain the outer blessing. And this inner transformation requires trust. Trust when your finances look low. Trust when you don't understand. Trust when you sow seeds and the harvest doesn't come instantly. Trust when people around you mock your faith. Trust when things look opposite of what you're praying for. God does not ask you to trust because He needs validation. He asks you to trust because trust positions you to receive. Trust breaks fear. Trust opens your spiritual eyes. Trust lets God work freely in your life. Breakthrough often comes the moment you stop relying on your own strength. You were never meant to be the sole provider of your life. God designed you to partner with Him, to work hard, yes, but to rest in His ability to provide above and beyond what your labor alone can accomplish. When you shift from self-reliance to God-dependence, something powerful happens. God begins to orchestrate things you cannot see. He begins to bring ideas you never thought of. He begins to connect you with people you never expected. He begins to make a way in places where doors were long shut. Your role is to stay faithful, stay expectant, and stay open. A financial breakthrough begins with a breakthrough in thinking. As you allow God to renew your mind, fear loses its grip, faith rises, and you begin to see God's hand in every area of your life. You begin to realize that you are not limited by the economy, by your job, by your past, or by what you currently see. You are only limited by how big you allow your faith to be. And when you think differently, you live differently. Your priorities shift, your expectations rise, your prayers strengthen, your outlook transforms, and suddenly what once looked impossible becomes the next testimony of what God can do.
When God prepares you for a financial breakthrough, He often begins by reshaping your inner life, not your outer circumstances. This is why many people pray for abundance, but they don't realize that God first adjusts the heart before He releases what the hands can hold. The second key to receiving your financial breakthrough is understanding that divine provision is not only about money, it's about alignment. When your spirit, decisions, habits, and thoughts are aligned with God's principles, Your life becomes a vessel that His blessings can safely flow through. Many times the breakthrough is delayed not because God is unwilling to provide, but because the container you currently have can't carry the weight of what He intends to release. This is why God starts by transforming your mindset. If your thinking is shaped by fear, scarcity, or survival, then even if God gives you increase, you will live as though you are still lacking. A person who thinks small cannot carry big blessings. Someone who expects loss cannot hold increase. Someone who is ruled by fear will waste what God gives through worry, doubt, or impulse. And someone who still carries a slave mentality cannot manage the abundance meant for a kingdom citizen. So before God sends a breakthrough, He develops the mind to receive it. He teaches you to stop expecting failure, to stop assuming you will always be behind, and to stop believing that lack is your identity. God begins replacing those old mental patterns with heavenly truths, truths that remind you that you are provided for, cared for, and backed by divine resources far greater than your bank account. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but it is the foundation on which financial blessings stand. Another part of alignment is obedience. Financial breakthroughs are not only released through prayer, they are also released through instruction. When God guides you to sow, to give, to help someone, or to make a particular move, it is rarely random. It is a divine investment into your own future. Many people limit their blessings because they hesitate when God nudges them. They hold on to the little they have, afraid it will disappear, not realizing that what they cling to becomes all they will ever have. But what they release when God instructs them becomes a seed that grows into a harvest. Obedience positions you under the flow of God's provision. Every time you say yes to God's prompting, you step closer to the breakthrough that is already assigned to your life. The heart must also be prepared. God will never give you something that will lead you away from Him. For some people, abundance would become a distraction. It could inflate pride, create complacency, or pull their dependence away from God. So before He releases greater financial blessing, He shapes humility, gratitude, discipline, and spiritual maturity. He teaches you to value Him more than the gift, to seek His presence more than His provision, and to trust His timing more than your plans. Financial breakthrough, when given at the wrong time, can damage a person, but when it comes at the right time, it elevates them into the person they were always meant to be. That is why God sometimes delays what you are praying for, not to deny you, but to protect you. Another vital part of alignment is stewardship. God looks at how you handle what you currently have. If you waste the small, He cannot give the large. If you mismanage little, you will mismanage much. If you spend impulsively, complain constantly, or ignore wisdom, increase will not solve anything. It will only magnify the issues. But when you learn to manage your current resources with wisdom, discipline, and gratitude, you demonstrate to heaven that you are ready for more. Stewardship is not about perfection. It's about responsibility. When you show God that you can be trusted with 10, He knows you can be trusted with 1,000. When you handle a season of little with faithfulness, He knows you will handle a season of much with wisdom. Alignment also requires that your relationships reflect God's principles. God cannot pour a financial blessing into a life that is surrounded by people who drain, manipulate, distract, or sabotage. Sometimes the reason the blessing hasn't arrived yet is because you are connected to people who cannot go where God is taking you. If He sent the breakthrough now, they would use you, consume from you, or pull you away from your calling. So God removes, exposes, or distances certain people, not to hurt you, but to protect your blessing. Every divine increase requires divine separation. God ensures that only the right voices surround you in the new season. Lastly, alignment requires that you prepare for what you are praying for. Faith without preparation is empty desire. If you are praying for financial increase, start behaving like someone who expects it. Organize your finances, learn, plan, grow in knowledge, improve your skills, increase your discipline, and enlarge your capacity. God blesses people who partner with His plan, not those who only speak about it. When God sees your readiness, He responds with release. When He sees your faith in action, He releases what has been waiting for you in the spiritual realm. And when everything within you aligns with everything He has declared over you, the breakthrough that once looked far suddenly becomes the breakthrough that arrives with power. When God begins moving you toward a financial breakthrough, one of the greatest battles you will face is internal, not external. It is the battle between what you see and what God has spoken. Breakthrough rarely begins with evidence. It begins with a whisper, a nudge, a push in your spirit that tells you, there is more. Yet at the same time, everything around you seems to contradict that promise. The bills stand unchanged. The opportunities appear limited. The resources look small. But God often works by enlarging your faith before He enlarges your finances. He stretches your vision before He stretches your bank account. He changes your expectation before He changes your environment. And in many cases, the financial breakthrough God has prepared for you is already released in the spiritual realm. You simply cannot see it yet. This is why He teaches you to trust what He is doing behind the scenes. There are moments in your life where God hides abundance in places that look empty. He hides increase in assignments that look ordinary. He places provision in relationships that look insignificant. What appears small is often the container for something supernatural. God trains your eyes to recognize miracles while they are still disguised as seeds. When Elijah told the widow to give him her last meal, God placed her breakthrough in something that looked like a loss. When Jesus told Peter to cast his net again after a night of failure, the miracle was hidden in repetition. When the Israelites collected manna, the blessing came one day at a time, not in full storage. God often hides your breakthrough in the places where others see nothing, because He wants you to depend on Him, not the visible, not the predictable, not the comfortable. He teaches you to walk by spiritual sight, not natural sight. There is a divine principle at work. God reveals increase through obedience, not through comfort, not through understanding, not through certainty. Financial breakthrough is tied to following God's instructions, even when they don't make sense. Sometimes He tells you to save when saving feels impossible. Other times He tells you to give when giving feels unreasonable. Sometimes He tells you to step out when logic says stay still. Every act of obedience becomes a key that unlocks a new level of provision. And every time you obey, you announce to heaven, I trust you more than I trust my fear. You declare, your word is more real to me than my situation. Breakthrough responds not to emotion, but to alignment with God's voice. It responds to faithfulness in the small things. It responds to decisions that honor God even when they stretch you. This is how God prepares you to handle what He is sending your way. But before financial breakthrough arrives, God often purifies your motives. He checks what is sitting in your heart. He examines whether you want blessing just to feel secure or to advance His purpose. He reveals whether you want increase just to elevate your lifestyle or to elevate your obedience. God never sends abundance to a place where selfishness rules. He never pours oil into a vessel that is closed. Many people pray for financial breakthrough, but God first looks at whether their heart can carry what their mouth is requesting. He searches for humility, gratitude, responsibility, integrity. He looks for the person who says, God, whatever you give me, I will honor you with it. When your motive matches his mission, doors begin to open faster than you can imagine. There are also times when financial struggle is the very tool God is using to strengthen you, not to punish you, but to prepare you. Seasons of lack build discipline. They sharpen decision-making. They remove unnecessary spending patterns. They break dependence on people. They expose waste. They reveal what truly matters. Many people ask for financial blessing, but without the discipline formed in scarcity, they would lose everything in abundance. God allows pressure to shape your stewardship. He allows tight seasons to train your focus. He allows difficulty to develop your gratitude, because when breakthrough comes, it must land in a mature mindset, not an immature one. God is not just preparing money for you, He is preparing you for money. God also wants you to understand that breakthrough is rarely a single event. It is a process. It builds layer by layer. First your mindset, then your habits, then your actions, then your connections, then your opportunities, and then the manifestation of the blessing itself. Many people grow frustrated during the early layers because they cannot yet see the final result. But every great financial turnaround starts invisibly. A breakthrough can begin in a phone call, in a new skill, in a small side opportunity, in a change of thinking, in the courage to leave an unhealthy environment, or in the clarity to reorganize your finances. What looks like nothing happening is often God rearranging everything. At times, God will also close certain financial doors because they would have distracted you, drained you, or delayed you. Rejection can be protection. A lost opportunity can be redirection. When God removes something from your life, it is because it cannot support the weight of the blessing He is preparing for you. Not every job can carry your purpose. Not every partnership can handle your future. Not every business idea is meant for the season you're in. God's rejection is sometimes His most powerful gift. Your financial breakthrough is not about luck, chance, or perfect timing. It is about alignment with God's wisdom, His timing, and His direction. When your heart is right, your faith is active, your obedience is consistent, and your trust is fixed, breakthrough has no choice but to find you. And when it comes, it will arrive in a way that leaves no doubt God did this. Beloved, when it comes to receiving a financial breakthrough, God is not asking you for perfection. He is asking for positioning. He is looking for a heart that believes even when resources look small, a spirit willing to obey even when the instruction feels strange, and a soul willing to trust Him even when the process stretches you. Your breakthrough is not a dream far away. It is a divine reality already in motion, already moving toward your life, already written into your destiny. God has a unique way of turning the little you have into a testimony that shakes your environment. He takes the seed that seems insignificant, the obedience that seems unnoticed, the faith that feels small, and He multiplies it. He breathes on what you give Him, and suddenly the supernatural touches what was natural, and the impossible becomes possible. This is how God operates. He is not limited by your salary, your business, your background, or your history. He is only limited when you stop believing. Your financial breakthrough is not coming. It has already begun. Heaven has already recorded your prayers. God has seen your efforts, your tears, your sacrifices, and your quiet endurance. A shift has already taken place in the unseen realm, and now God is preparing to reveal what He has been aligning behind the scenes. You may not feel it yet, but faith does not rely on feelings. It relies on truth. And the truth is this: God rewards those who trust Him deeply, obey Him quickly, and honor Him consistently. So walk from this moment with a renewed confidence, not in yourself, but in the God who has never failed. Expect open doors. Expect new opportunities. Expect unexpected favor. Expect supernatural supply. Doors that were locked are about to open. Delays are about to turn into acceleration. What was held back is about to be released. God is moving toward you with resources you did not work for, blessings you did not earn, and breakthroughs that only His power can produce. Stand firm.